4 minus 1, that's 3 quick maths. Everyday man's on the block.
This video will help us work through Chapter 4e related to introducing the Cartesian plane. So in class so far we've been looking at how we can describe different points on a Cartesian plane. So remember, these things here are called sets of coordinates, and the first value in a coordinate always tells us the x value of a point's location on a Cartesian plane, and the second value always tells us it's where it is in terms of the y direction. So point A, which is at 3, 1, is 1, 2, 3 units across, 1 up. Point B is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 across on the x-axis and 2 up on the y-axis. So we've had some practice at describing coordinates playing battleships in class, and also through the mystery picture drawing that we had to go at. So when we're using Cartesian coordinates, the x-coordinate always comes first and the y-coordinate always comes second. Now on sector, I've listed some questions that I would like you to work through. So I'll just go through a few of these questions. If we were to write the coordinates of each of these points on this Cartesian plane here, again, if I was looking at H, I'd be looking at the x direction first and then the y direction second. So the coordinates of H, because they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across, the first value in our set of coordinates would be 5, and then the second value would be 3. So on a sheet of paper, that would be represented as H. So I've labeled what coordinate I'm talking about, and then the position is 5, 3. Or if I wanted to do D, again I'd label the point D. I open a bracket, I look at how many spots to the right it is on the x-axis. In this situation it's 9 across and it's 6 up, therefore the coordinate would be 9, 6. So we should be familiar with that at this stage. Now remember, we looked at the different quadrants. All of these questions at the moment are only focusing on quadrant 1, where both the x values and the y values are positive, and depending on which quadrant we are in, sometimes the x values may be negative or the y values may be negative. Example 4e3 gives us a table of values. So this is a different way to describe the position of a point on a graph. So you can see the first row shows us the x coordinates and the second row shows us the y coordinates. So part A asks us to list the coordinates for each of these points. So if we have a look, this first column here, we can see our x coordinate is 0 and our y coordinate is 2. Therefore, if I was to write this in a set of coordinates, this would be 0, 2. And you can see here they've got 0, 2. And then the second column shows us an x value and a y value. So we have 1, 3. Therefore, if we were to write that in a set of coordinates, we have 1, 3. Now make sure you always remember to put your comma in between the two values and use your brackets. And they go through and they do that for the remainder of the values in the table. Then we can actually plot these points on a Cartesian plane. So you can see here they've drawn a Cartesian plane. Now when you go to draw these set of axes, I'd be having a look at what is the largest y value and what's the largest x value, so I can see where I should end my axis. So you can see their largest x value was 5. They've gone a few more than 5. It's always a good idea to go a couple values more. And then their y coordinates finish at 7, and again they've gone 1 value extra, so then they can plot each of those points on the graph, and then they've joined them together with a smooth line like the question asked. So you can see this point here is represented by that coordinate 0 across 2 up. this point here is represented by this coordinate, 1 across 3 up. So we'll have a go at question 12a. So first we have to write this table as a set of coordinates. So the first coordinate we have will be 2, 0, because the x coordinate always comes first. So we'll have 2, 0. Then our next one is 4, 3. Our next one is 6, 8. And lastly, we have 8, 15. Then they've asked us to plot each of these points on the Cartesian plane and then join them with a smooth line. So again, I would have a look at my x coordinates. You can see the largest value is 8, so my axis has to go at least a couple bigger than 8, and then my largest y coordinate is 15, so you'd have to go at least a couple positions bigger than that also. So here's a set of axes I prepared earlier. So our first coordinate, 2, 0, if I was to plot that, I have to come 2 across and then 0 up. So 1, 2 across and 0 up. So that point will actually lie on the x-axis. The next coordinate, 4, 3, I come 4 values across, 3 values up, and I plot my point there. It's always a good idea to write the coordinates next to the point that you plot. So this is 2, 0. And then we have 6, 8, so it comes 6 across and we move 8 up. Again, I'll put my values, 6, 8, and finally we have 8, 15, so we come 8 across and 16 up. And the values there, so I have 8, 15. Now you might notice that these points, so they asked us to describe whether the points lie on a curved or a straight line. You might notice that these points are not quite linear, because if I get my ruler here, that does not pass evenly through the points. So if I was to join these up with a smooth line, it would in fact make a curve shape through there. Alright, so that should assist you in working through the questions related to chapter 4E and also chapter 4F.